I'm back.
Yeah, you are back. It's been a minute since you've been on the pod.
It's been a few months. For good reason.
For good reason. Sherice and I welcomed our first baby girl, Miss Kaya Rain. We had a great, we had an eventful
I was just about to say,
delivery.
we had a great...
She has a story, right? She has a story of her experience, and late last year, she started to share that story. And with her sharing that story, I realized that, just with the response she got and, all of the other stories that she became privy to, I was like, man, this would be something great to talk about on the pod. I wanted to bring you on. We've had a number of conversations about this, and I just want us to talk about the experience, right? I want us to go from the top, like show how it all started and how we got to this point. All right, we are back at it. Welcome. This is a new episode of the Miles High Podcast. It has been a minute. As always, this is your host, Miles Munroe Jr. It's always good to be here. I've missed doing this. It's been off for a couple of months for good reason, but we're going to get to that. But as always, the vision and goal of this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist. Always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right. So first of all, Happy New Year. I want to wish everyone out there Happy New Year. We're in the new year of 2025. I hope this year has gotten off to a good start for everyone. It's gotten off to a good start for me. A big change for me is I'm entering into a new space now, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about on this episode, right? I'm privileged to welcome my first guest for the year. She's no stranger to the pod. It's none other than my wife, Sherice. Welcome, Sherice, baby.
I'm back.
Yeah, you are back. It's been a minute since you've been on the pod.
It's been a few months. For good reason.
For good reason. I haven't said anything on the pod.
Yes.
I was keeping everything, tucked close to the heart.
Yeah.
We had a life change over the last couple of months.
We did.
And the fourth quarter of last year, I took some time off from the pod, as you guys know. And Sherice and I, you want to say it or you want me to say it?
You can do the honors.
Sherice and I welcomed our first baby girl, Miss Kaya Rain. It was an exciting time for us. It was just a great experience, right? Having her is a gift, right? I feel like it's a privilege to be blessed with, a child, and with us to be responsible for raising
a
whole life, right? And through the process, like I say, it's been a roller coaster ride, and we had a great we had an eventful
I was just about to say,
delivery.
We had a great
an eventful delivery experience. So my daughter was born last year, October. My wife and I, it's been a little over 3 months now, and she has a story, right? She has a story of her experience, and late last year, she started to share that story. And with her sharing that story, I realized that, just with the response she got and, all of the other stories that she became privy to, I was like, man, this would be something great to talk about on the pod, right? Because, I realized, and, me going through the process, man, I realized how much women have to go through with bringing a life into this world, right? The morning sicknesses, the way their body adjusts to evolving into growing a whole human inside of them, the emotional changes, and just everything that is encompassed in being pregnant and, going through delivery and labor and eventually having a life and having a healthy life, right? Being able to deliver a healthy kid. That was my I didn't care about anything else but for my wife and my child to be in good health and in good shape at the end of it all. And with the stories that she was getting and all the challenges everyone else was experiencing, right, including her, I was like, man, this would be a good thing to talk about, a good topic to talk about on this pod. So I wanted to bring you on. You know, we've had a number of conversations about this, and I just want us to talk about the experience, right? I want us to go from the top, like show how it all started and how we got to this point. So I'm gonna let you start. I'll follow your lead on this. So, let's talk about let's talk about the initial experience of let's go from trying to get pregnant.
Okay, so we got married in 2022.
When?
No, 2023.
Boy.
So from we got married, I'm like, yo, we trying to start having a baby now. We trying.
Like, out the gate,
you know, because you know, as you age, you realize the importance of getting it done, because women, we have this biological clock that's ticking. So for me, it was like, you know, we're married. Why wait? We've been together a significantly long time. Let's get it done. And so we started trying as soon as the ring was on the finger. And what they don't tell you is that it is very hard to get pregnant. When you're in your 20s, it might be easier. But when you're in your 30s, you need some help. And so we started to try. It was just natural. And then for months and months, it wasn't happening. And I started to get frustrated. And then I am someone who knows my body very well. I'm very in tune with my body. And so I said to my husband, I'm like, something ain't right. Something is not right. And I'm someone who has been challenged with ovarian cysts my entire life. That's something that I've struggled with, and so many women have struggled with for their entire lives. And so I said, I think I have a cyst, babe. And so I went to the doctor. Lo and behold, I had a cyst. And this would have been my second cyst. And a cyst basically is a growth on your ovaries, basically. And so I thought that would have been one of the challenges of why I wasn't getting pregnant. And so in 2023, I had a surgery to remove the cyst. And that in itself was a daunting task, because for me, it's like, why am I having another one and the same type? And, you know, is this going to create challenges for us growing our family? So that was the first roadblock we hit. And I had to get a surgery. And then after surgery, I had to wait about 6 months before even thinking of trying again, because during surgery, they found a fibroid. Another common ailment that so many Black women especially have. And so that was a double whammy, an ovarian cyst and a fibroid. So we had to manage that. So that put us back about 6+ months of trying. So it's like, okay, what next? Then during my recovery, a month later, I'm feeling excruciating pain again. I'm like, something isn't right, babe. Something isn't right. So my doctor is like, nah, you're fine. Nothing's wrong. You straight. I said, something is not right. I advocated for myself like I always do. And my advice to women is, women and men, always advocate for yourself. You know your body better than anyone else. And so I pushed for another scan. I had another cyst. And I'm like, yo, what is going on? And so this time it was a different type of cyst. It was something called a hemorrhagic cyst, which it can and will sometimes go on its own. Sometimes you might need another surgical procedure, but thankfully I didn't need one. But at that time, it was very stressful, because it's like, what now? You know, what now? And that was another, 3+ months of trying to resolve that issue. So it's now 9 months since we've been trying. Nothing's happening. And if you know me, you know I am Miss Worry, Miss Anxiety, misdiagnose myself with any and everything. So I'm like, babe, do you think I need IVF? You know, do you? Because I'm like, I'm 30-ish something. Do you think I'm going to need IVF? And so that was another thing that popped into my mind. Like, why isn't this happening? And so that went on for another few months. And during all of this, I'm stressing my husband out, because any woman or a man that is in their 30s or early 40s, they know that that's when you start getting some help. You're purchasing the ovulation test. You know, all of that.
So
you want to interject?
Yes, let me advocate for my men here. Okay. She kind of breezed over. She was stressing her husband out. It's a bit more than that, guys. So my wife, like when I tell you my wife is like a worrisome, anxious person, and I am the exact opposite, right? I try not to worry about a whole lot. I kind of just trust God, have faith in the process, and just allow things to happen as they may. So, but my wife isn't that type of person, and especially, you know, with women and their emotion, and you know, like her saying, the anxiety that she had with trying to get pregnant and wanting to start a family, especially because she was getting older. She bought these ovulation tests, right?
Which all women do.
That's why she had a bunch of ovulation tests. She had this app on her phone that tracks. she would that tracks like her ovulation levels and when it was the right time. So she was the type of person to be like, yo, today is the day. Let's go right now. And you know, for me, it's like I just go from the gym. I tired. I in the middle of doing something. My mind, you know what I mean? Like, it's sometimes it just wasn't there, and so it started to feel like a chore, like a job, right? It's like, yo, I feel like a piece of meat. Like you just using me and being like, okay, now you could leave. You know what I mean? So it got to a point where it started to become stressful on me, and it started to affect me, and to the point where I had to go talk to one of my mentors, right? And had a conversation with him, just explain the situation to him. And he's a man who's married for a bunch of years, has kids of his own. And he looked at me, put his arm on my shoulder, and just laughed. He's like, "If this your problem, bro, you don't have any problems, right?" And he said it in jest, right? But I kind of understood what he was saying, right? Because it could be worse, right? It could be a whole lot worse. So I used that as an encouragement to just focus on like what it is we're really trying to do, right? And that's the raise to have a kid and to start a family. But it was stressful.
But funny enough, during that experience, you came across so many other men who was going through the same thing.
And I would tell Sherice that because she's a stickler for, I ovulate now. Let's do this. Let's make it happen, and whatnot. And like I would tell her, like, let's not put any added stress on ourselves. Like, let's just let it happen how it happens. And like she would, in the moment, she'd be like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. And then an hour later, she'd be like, no, let's go. We need to do this now. So I just wanted to add that piece because, I think for men, it's not just women who are going through like what we go through in, trying to have kids and trying to have a healthy delivery and a healthy pregnancy and all of that. Like men, we deal with our own stuff too, because I think we see ourselves as having to be the strong person or the strong portion of the relationship, right? Trying to hold the wife up and encourage her through what she's going through and be there for her. But it could play a toll on us as well, Mm-hmm. So I don't want you to forget that. But go ahead.
If that's the thing that you had to worry about,
that was a nothing.
But anyways. Thank you for your service. So,
piece of meat.
So after trying so many months of trying to use these ovulation kits, we actually did get pregnant twice, and we had chemical pregnancies, which are early losses, which a lot of women go through, and a lot of women, they don't know about it until they're going through it.
So let's talk about the chemical pregnancies.
Let's talk about it.
I want to introduce you to the Munroe Global app, the ultimate platform to empower your leadership journey and inspire your purpose-filled life. Access timeless teachings designed to help you grow in every area of your life. From leadership development to personal growth, Munroe Global has it all at your fingertips. With the Munroe Global app, you'll have exclusive access to powerful videos and messages from the legendary Dr. Miles Munroe, a digital library packed with life-changing content right at your fingertips, and a vibrant global community of visionaries, leaders, and change makers just like you. Whether you're at home, on the go, or in the office, the Munroe Global app ensures you never miss an opportunity to learn, grow, and lead. Available now on Google Play and the Apple App Store, the Munroe Global app is your gateway to unlocking your potential and impacting your work. Download the Munroe Global app today and take the first steps toward living the life you were born to lead. So at some point after, within those 9 months, Sherice came to me and with a pregnancy test. She was like, yo, pregnant. So, I was excited, like super excited. I was like, yo, finally, whatever. Like this feels great. We finally accomplished what we set out to accomplish. And then you took
So that's the first part. Taking the test, you think that's the end, but that's just the beginning.
Right.
So me and my cheer squad, one of my friends was like, so you should do a progression, which is basically you pee on a stick, and you see the line get darker and darker, and you know that your pregnancy is progressing because you have HCG, which is the pregnancy hormone, and it doubles every 36 hours. Mm-hmm. So it should be getting darker and darker and darker.
So I'd keep in mind at this point, Sherice couldn't have been more than, I'd say, 2 weeks pregnant. So like
4 weeks.
So Sherice would be like, we would try. The next week she tested to see if she's pregnant, and I'm like, bro, you have to relax. Like you doing too much right now. You're putting added pressure on yourself. That's so like at this point, it couldn't have been more than, I'd say, like 2-3 weeks.
It's like 15 days, I think.
But go ahead. Yes.
So I was doing the line progression, which is I was waiting to see the line get darker and darker. Yep. And when you're having a chemical pregnancy, it does the opposite. It gets lighter and lighter. So It was never progressing. And my girlfriend was like, that's kind of strange. And so I started to do research, and it's like, you could possibly be having a chemical pregnancy. And so I said, okay. So we were like, let's go to the doctor. Let me get tested. And so I went to the doctor. I got tested to ensure that I was pregnant, to see if, what's going on. And it confirmed that I was pregnant, but it wasn't working out. And so that was the first, like, okay, at least I know I could get pregnant. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, it was still an emotional time, because it's like, what again? Mm-hmm. Like, what next? Mm-hmm. So anyway, the next month, I'm like, we're gonna try again. We try again, and I get pregnant again. And this time I'm like, yeah, I'm pregnant. Because it's like the joy has already been sucked out of you, because it's been such a long road. And then it's like, I ain't really sure about this one. Mm-hmm. And again, the same thing happened. I tried the progression, and it was not doubling. And this time I'm like, something is wrong.
So at this point, all the emotions kick in, right? Sherice is now upset, asking like, what's wrong? Is it something wrong with me? Is there something that we need to do, something that I'm not doing? And we're having these conversations, and for me, it's like, man, like, I don't think, like, it's not you. I don't think it's you. It's just what it is, right? And I think this is a sign for us just to continue, right? To keep going, even if it doesn't work out. And I think in hindsight, like, that sounds good, right? Yeah. Sounds like the right thing to say, but in the moment, like, it's very difficult to hear, right? And very difficult to accept. But we nonetheless continued. We made a few additional doctor visits.
Well, we made a few changes.
We
changed doctors because I just felt like when you're dealing with certain situations, there's a level of empathy and sympathy that you need to have. And, that's just what I'll say about that. So our new team was I think they just fit us. They were more of what we needed for that time. And we had a great conversation. And after that conversation, I'm like, you know what? Let's just enjoy our Christmas, our New Year's. We'll deal with it next year.
That's what you said?
That's what I said. And, for what, a month? We took time off and we chilled. We enjoyed ourselves. We traveled. And when January came, we were like, we'll get back to work in January, because this was a full-time job. And, we wanted to do a fertility workup, all of the stuff that we needed to do to ensure that everything was normal, everything was fine. And, when we went for that workup, no, actually, that's not what happened. What happened was when we went to the doctor, I'm like, I think I'm pregnant. She's like, why do you think you're pregnant?
No, you had already taken a test.
I had taken a test.
So
it was early.
Let's back up. So Sherice agreed that we would take less pressure. She would take pressure off herself to like
easier said than done.
These ovulation tests and stuff. And I was like, yo, let's just relax. We already went through 2 chemical pregnancies. Let's kind of just allow things to happen, which is the way that I wanted to approach it from the start, right? Just let it happen how it was going to happen. So we took, we had enjoyed our Christmas. It was around the Christmas holidays. Yeah. So we enjoyed our Christmas holiday, New Year's holiday. And then we were traveling as well. So, we was just kind of enjoying ourselves. And through that process, we got pregnant, right? So she still was kind of doing the ovulation test, but it wasn't as like, she wasn't as crazy with it as she was before. So I think she felt, I don't know if she felt as if she was pregnant, but she ended up taking a pregnancy test.
Well, I was still really tracking, but just not as crazy.
Not as crazy.
Yeah.
So she, felt like she was pregnant, got a test was positive.
Yeah. Then we did the line progression again.
And the line progression.
It progressed.
Yeah, it showed strong. So this kind of boosted her morale, right? She was feeling good. And she was like, let's go to the doctor now. Right, like we are.
Yeah, because if this is another chemical pregnancy, some has to happen.
So at this point, it was less than 5 weeks.
Yes.
Pregnant, and she went to the doctor.
Doctor was like, "Why do you think you're pregnant?"
She was like, "Doc, I think I'm pregnant," and Doc was like, "Why do you think you're pregnant? Like it's way too early to even consider that, right?"
But it wasn't. Again,
in her eyes,
advocate for yourself.
But go ahead.
And so. At the time, she couldn't really tell by us because I did have a scan because we were kind of starting the workup. She couldn't tell if I was pregnant, but I knew I was pregnant. I felt it in my bones. And then 2 weeks later would have been, we could actually confirm whether I was pregnant, and we did the blood work. It proved that I was pregnant, and then the line progression came back darker and darker and darker. And she was like, congratulations, you guys are going to be parents.
So boom, we celebrating, we happy.
We thought that was the hard part.
We like, okay, now it's just easy, smooth sailing, it's going to be, at least that's what we were praying for. We were praying for like a solid pregnancy, a good pregnancy, a good labor and delivery. Sherice probably got about a month in.
Yeah.
Or 2.
It was like 5 weeks.
So a little over a month in, right? She fine pregnancy, no issues.
Minimal nausea.
Yeah, not much sickness, morning sicknesses or like nausea or whatever. Once that 6-week hit,
I was just sitting on a couch.
But I don't even know what. I don't know. This came out of nowhere, and Sherice experienced what is called
hyperemesis gravidum. I think that's how to pronounce the last word, but it's extreme. The worst of the worst morning sickness. It's the worst. I got up and just vomit started to come out, and it never stopped for months. Like it was so bad.
So the first time it happened, I was like, okay, this probably would morning sickness, because I've never been through this experience.
It wasn't even in the morning, which is a lot. Morning sickness isn't just for the morning.
That's just what they call it at the time.
It was in the middle of the day.
Like all day sickness, literally. Like, mornings she's sick, mid-morning she throwing up, afternoon throwing up, mid-afternoon she throwing up, evening, little before evening throwing up, evening throwing up, night throwing, and
middle of the night
she couldn't drink, she couldn't eat, she couldn't keep anything down, and it got to the point where like she started to lose weight. And it that obviously that wasn't good, and it was kind of scary because she was pregnant at the time, and obviously the baby needs what it needs to grow and be healthy. So we went to the doctor, and the doctor suggested that Sherice started to do IV treatment.
Yeah. So I had to do that 3 times a week. And it was
3 times a week,
a full-time job
for 8 hours each time.
Yeah, because I went there like 7 in the morning and used to leave So it was a full-time job. I was a member of the staff.
She was.
It was, but it helped it helped me be able to keep some liquids down, food down. It was not a fix. It was just supplementary.
Yeah. It didn't
to ensure that I didn't die.
Yeah, it didn't
was,
stop the sickness. She was still super sick. And had bad experiences just with, vomiting, certain food she ate made it worse.
I had heartburn.
Yeah.
Like the worst heartburn in the world.
And let's talk about this thing that women do.
Oh.
That pregnant women experience that if you've never, like, I've never been around a pregnant woman long enough to even recognize that this happens. But once Sherice and I got pregnant, I started to see it everywhere we went, right? So Sherice developed this spitting symptom, right?
Excessive spitting.
Is there a medical term for it?
There is a medical term for it. It's called. It starts with a P. I can't really.
So what it is she can't stand the taste of her saliva.
No.
Oh, you make too much.
That I make too much spit, too much saliva.
Oh, and
I can't taste it.
It was causing you heartburn at the time too?
No, that was a different symptom. It was heartburn plus excessive spitting, excessive to the point where the spit was dripping out my mouth. It was disgusting.
So she got to the point now where she had to walk with a cup everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? And it was like spit would build up in her mouth, and like in mid-conversation, spit would build up in her mouth, and she would talk. I'd be like, bro, please spit. Like, please take that out your mouth. Then we could continue this conversation. But she traveled everywhere with this cup. So, like, if you all saw Sherice with a little red cup at first, everywhere she went, and it would be like this little cover-up spit and trying to hide it. And like, it was like the entire, from it started, it happened. It was that until she practically gave birth. Like, the entire time
it kind of got a little better towards the end, spitting, though, but it was but it kind of tapered off. But it was like,
no, that was an experience though, because that was so like that was something one of the things like I had to adjust to, right? Because her mouth was always spitty. Oh my goodness! And it was like she would spit, and it would be like big blogs of spit, and I'm like, yo, how are you producing this much saliva at this point?
Yeah, it was,
so that that was another thing about being pregnant that I didn't know. I don't know if Sherice knew about it or was prepared
I knew
for
about it, but I was like, that can't
and it doesn't happen to every woman,
me.
Right? It doesn't happen to all women, because I asked like a couple of my friends. Some of them said, yeah, their wives had the same thing. Some was like, no, we didn't experience any of that. So
a lot of women who hit me up, they had it. They had it, and I'm like, this was probably the worst part of pregnancy for me. I was like, well, if that's the worst part, give me that. Because I had heartburn, and then I also couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I had to sleep upright on the couch for 9 months.
And this was from like week 6, right?
Yeah. Well,
from you started to get sick?
You mean laying down?
Yeah.
Well, I should have learned that. Well, the doctor recommended, you should start sitting up, because the heartburn was making everything come back up, which was actually making the morning sickness worse. So when he gave me that bit of advice, I was like, let me try it. And it made it a little better. It still wasn't a fix, but it was like a little better.
So she didn't sleep laying flat for
almost 9 months.
Almost 9 months.
Yeah.
Like crazy. I'm talking like sitting on the couch. She couldn't, the bed wasn't even comfortable. Even like sitting up in the bed wasn't comfortable. So she only could have slept on the couch.
I bought a wedge pillow. That did not work for me. It was just, the couch was the most comfortable place for me to be.
Yeah. Crazy experience.
Yeah. So it was wild.
So,
and that was just like the tip of the iceberg. Like, I felt like, and then I almost had gestational diabetes. It's just so many things that women go through, and that you take certain stuff for granted when you're not pregnant, or when you see pregnant women, you don't have a level of sympathy for them, because I know a lot of times we're like, oh, you're just pregnant, you ain't nothing wrong with you. But like the stress of it all, you just never know what pregnant women are going
what was
through.
crazy too is, so while we were pregnant and moving about, like older women would look at Sherice pregnant, and they just would be like, oh, congratulations. And like, just it was like it wasn't just a
It's
congratulatory
like a rite of
greeting.
passage.
It was like it was one of those like, man, I know what you're going through, and like you got this.
Yeah,
you know
I
what I mean? Like
understand.
giving you encouragement. And at the time, we were looking at it like, yo, why are these people like? Is it something? What is it about pregnant women that gets women going, right? And after this experience, you realize like, man, women know like what women go through during pregnancy. So when you see a pregnant woman, you empathize with them,
absolutely.
and you sympathize with the experiences that they could be having, because you may have gone through something or know someone that went through something. And it's like I say, it's a crazy experience.
I agree, and you just don't know until you experience it, because I've had friends who have been pregnant and they've gone through things, but you can't fully empathize until you have been through that situation. And that's honestly just how it is. You cannot put yourself in their shoes until you have walked in it yourself.
So Sherice, we went through the process of like going to the doctor 3 times a week for 8 hours a day. Each of those days, Sherice getting some IV. Still not, her not feeling super well, still feeling bad with
Couldn't
it.
eat.
Couldn't even drink certain things, or a lot.
I dropped down to like 106 pounds.
It was crazy. She lost a lot of weight. But, amazingly, like, the baby was fine.
Yes.
Like, no stress. Everything checked out normal. Like, every checkup we went to, they were like, man, your child is doing well, doing good.
It's literally, a baby literally is like, it just sucks you. Mm-hmm. It's like an alien sucking you of everything. Mm-hmm. Like, seriously, it just takes everything from you.
It does. So you went through that, and then obviously morning sickness and not morning sickness, HU.
HG.
HG was, prevalent throughout the whole pregnancy, pretty much. But, we got to the point where I wouldn't say we had a handle on it, but, it was just what it was.
Well, because we got some good medication.
Yeah, we got some good drugs. Eventually.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, we did. We got some good drugs, and she
God
started to come around. And you want to mention the drugs that you took?
No.
So she got some drugs and was finally able to like eat.
Yeah.
And like eat and keep food down and like eat almost regular food. Yeah. Still got to stay away from spicy food and tomato-based food, because of the heartburn. But for the most part, she was able to eat. Though, kind of
for a little bit, because it did come back.
But it wasn't as intense.
It wasn't as intense, but I do think it's because I was very diligent in taking my medication, and while I could have eaten, I was like, we gonna pig out.
So she gained some pounds back. Finally started to gain some pregnancy weight. Still nothing crazy, right?
This is my regular weight.
A lot of points where Sherice didn't even look pregnant. Like if you looked at her from the back, you wouldn't see that she was pregnant. She spin around, and you see this big belly in the front of her. We used to make fun of that. I used to make fun of that.
Trick body.
But we went through that experience, and so let's get to the labor and delivery part.
Well, before we get to that, I want to say that when you're going through that, it's very important to have a support system. And I knew I could not do that on my own. I had to call in the prayer warriors. Like literally, I called everyone that I knew who was strong in their faith to pray for us, to cover us, because trust me, there were times I'm like, and I'm going to be real. I told my husband, I could throw myself down these stairs. Like, that's how bad it got. And he was like, you serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. And then I was like, I have to go speak to a therapist because I am going to lose it.
So you
thought I was joking.
Yeah, because she didn't say it in like a, this is what I'm going to do type of way. She said it in like, this is how I feel sometimes. Yeah. Right? And I know that sometimes those intrusive thoughts could manifest.
Oh, I had plenty intrusive
right?
thoughts.
So I was like, look, before this gets worse, let me reach out to a friend of mine. So I reached out to a friend of mine, and I was like, she's a therapist. And I was like, man, my wife and I are pregnant. She isn't having a great experience. And I think she needs to talk to someone like a professional, because I think it's getting to her emotionally. and mentally and all of that. So I want you to have a conversation with her just to check, make sure everything is fine. So she had that initial visit. I think that went well, and they had a few follow-up visits and whatnot. So I'm saying that to say, like, man, this pregnancy really takes a toll, right? Yeah. Not just on us as a family, as a unit, but on the female, especially because she's the one who is going through everything, experiencing everything. And, having that support group, like you say, I think is important. Like Sherice and I, a number of times, we would look at each other and we'd be like, man, we don't understand how women do this by themselves. Just
or like so many times.
Yeah, like my grandmother had, one of my grandmothers had 11 kids. The other had 6. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, how do you all go? Like, did you guys get this sick? Yeah. Was this the same experience? And it's, it was just like, man, the support is needed. And if it's one thing that I know my grandparents had back in the day was the support of like their family, the communities they lived in. Everyone was supportive. So I think that was a good thing for us, for, me being there to support Sherice, and then extended family and friends being there as well.
Yeah. And even so, let me just give you your flowers. It is very important to have a spouse that is supportive. And when I mean supportive, I mean, like, I could not have done it without him, seriously. And I'm not even saying that to, just big you up. I'm really saying that because there were days I could not get up out of the bed. I couldn't cook. I couldn't clean. I couldn't do anything. And I do not know how women do it without a stable partner in their lives, in their homes. Like, that is wild to me. Mm-hmm. So thank you, babes.
My pleasure.
Even to this day,
it's the least I could have done, at least.
Absolutely.
You bringing a whole life into this world.
Yes.
And like I say, it was a pleasure, man. I saw everything that she was going through, and even talking to a couple of my boys and my mentors and stuff, and just them saying like, yo, this is where you step up and you take over things that Sherice would have done, or things that you don't want her to worry about. Like, you take those on now. So, I did a lot of the cooking. I think I did all of the cooking. Mm-hmm. I did the cleaning. I did things that I might not have normally did, or things that Sherice would just do more than I used to do. And it was fine for me, right? Because I love to cook. I'm not just that type of person. And I'm a neat freak. I'm a clean freak. So I didn't mind cleaning either. So, I mean, just being there as a support, not just during the pregnancy, but to ensure that, we were still able to live and live in a clean space, in a comfortable space. And I just think that was the least that I could have done.
Absolutely.
So moving past now,
to this third trimester.
Yes, the third trimester.
It gets worse, guys.
So you think it would get better? There was something I wanted to mention just now. You said something that sparked a thought, and it had to do with like not realizing the experience that people go through, that pregnant women go through. And I can't remember. If I remember, I'll mention it. Okay. But third trimester.
I think I should also mention that I didn't mention is that we were seeing 2 different doctors, because I'm considered geriatric. Well, the new term is advanced maternal age. So after 35, they consider you up there and you have to see 2 doctors. I saw my regular OBGYN, and then I saw a perio, I can't even remember. It's a high risk doctor. So I was going for double the visits. I was getting scans every single visit. So that it was a good thing to see the baby all the time, but it got really monotonous. It got really tiring. And it's like, I know women who've had to see 2 doctors every week, 3 doctors every week. So it's just like pregnancy in itself. It's a journey and it is a job. And that's even before the baby gets here. So like.
And, I think just being aware of what is available to you as far as like, medical help, mental help, I think is important, not just for the women, but for the men as well, being there to support. And, just kind of knowing your partner and understanding your partner throughout that entire process, because it is a difficult thing that, women do, in bringing life into this world. So I think it's important that we, as men, right, we understand this task that women have, this job that they willingly take on, right, and just be a great support to them. Yeah.
So third trimester,
man,
the worst.
So where would you like to start?
We could fast forward it.
The day we go in?
No. The day we found out she was breached.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Sherice and I were doing multiple tests, right? Multiple visits. The whole time they were saying, baby's healthy, wife is good.
Engaged, head down, ready to go.
So at this point, Sherice was tired of being pregnant.
I was tired.
She was just like, yo, I just want to have this baby. Let's just have this, let this baby come.
So there was a little mix up with my due date. So my due date was supposed to be a certain date, and then we reach, and there ain't no baby. I mean, because obviously the due date is just an estimation. Your baby can come 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after.
But there were 2 due dates, right?
So we had
the due dates were a week apart.
Yeah.
So the separation because it could happen 2 weeks before the due date, 2 weeks after the due date. So it's actually 4 weeks for her.
Yeah, because I had two different dates.
Because it was 2 different dates, right? So you top that on top of the fact that she was tired of being pregnant. Then it became emotionally stressful because she was just like, yo, I'm ready to have a kid. So,
and it was just certain illnesses just started to pop up again, and I'm like, I have ringing in my ears. I have possibly gotta go get my pressure checked. It was just a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. But like I say, through the process, we did a lot of doctor visits, so we knew that number one, the baby was healthy always. There was never any issue with her.
She was
in
fine.
fact, she was chilling. She was moving around. She was super healthy. And then Sherice, even though there were some, I guess you could call it complications. It wasn't anything drastic. Some of it was just two different sets of doctors doing 2 different things 2 different ways, and it creating some anomalies between the two. So it wasn't that big of a worry for us. But this is the entire time, baby is fine, head down, just ready to go, right?
And then I also felt like I was already having labor pains, and I was already dilated to a certain extent. Oh,
one thing I want to say too. So Sherice was really prepared for her pregnancy, right? About the delivery aspect of her pregnancy. So she took some classes.
Yes.
She got some books. So she was well read on things she could do to help her deliver, to bring on delivery, exercises she can do. She had this pregnancy ball where she would kind of do exercises on, bouncing on, all of that good stuff.
Because the goal was now to have a water birth.
Yeah.
That was the goal. But anyway.
We talked about that, and she was like, yeah, I want to have a water birth. So I was like, okay, cool.
He thought I was insane.
Because I'm not used to that, right? But through this process, this is what I wanted to say. Okay. So through this process, I realized that, when you really think about it.
This is what I taught you?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. But so God created us, right? God created men and women, right? And the way God created us is perfect for what it is that we need to do. So I realized that, man, everything women need, how, so doctors would sometimes encourage women to induce, but the female body knows when it's ready, and it moves, and things happen in the body to prepare the woman for delivery, right? So all of these and I learned this through the practices or the classes that she was doing, just to have a natural birth. And I realized how uncommon natural births are, and it's because doctors push for
interventions.
Yeah, these things that we've developed over the years through technology and interventions and whatever, because there's a dollar amount behind it, right? It comes with an invoice, and when you talk about capitalism, this is what it's about, right? We pushing you to do something that you have to pay for that you don't necessarily need to do. And I, she and I had this conversation. And so when we started to talk more about, so this came about because she wanted to do a water birth. So in me, like doing my own research about water births and how natural it is, I'm like, man, it should be a natural experience for women. It shouldn't be something where, you taking a bunch of drugs or doing a bunch of stuff that isn't naturally supposed to happen during delivery. So that was something that I learned that I could appreciate now and really appreciate like how God created us, both men and women. And man, the things that you guys are the things that your body is capable of when we're talking about delivery and labor.
And the things your body instinctually knows how to do. Your pelvis knows how to tilt this way, and your sacrum knows how to bend this way. And it's just, everything was made for a certain purpose. Yeah. And that's what birth is about, just letting your body naturally take over.
So we get through to the third trimester, going through all of these tests,
40-ish weeks.
We reach the first due date, no baby, right? We get a week past that, no baby. We get 2 weeks past that, and now Sherice is like, okay, look.
And through that, I'm like, okay, we need to speed this up.
Yeah.
I got something called cervical sweeps. I did something called the balloon. Nothing happening.
That balloon thing was weird.
Yeah.
Okay, because they literally shove a medical balloon up
cervix.
up Sherice's cervix, but it had wires extended from it. So wires were hanging from her, and they taped the wire to her leg. So she still had to like live life, right? Walk around in public or whatever. So sometimes like the wire was showing, and it was just an entirely weird experience. But these are things that women go through, right? To try and get the labor going. So we went through all of that, and nothing happened.
She was a very stubborn.
But the thing is, they say that for a woman's first pregnancy, it usually the baby stays in longer than usual, right? So if your due date is one date, it's quite possible that she can go up to 2 weeks or not deliver until 2 weeks after that date, and it's quite normal. So our doctor I appreciate our doctor because she was one of those doctors that really wanted things to happen naturally, right? And
low intervention.
Yeah. So Sherice, even though Sherice was ready to give birth and push it along, my doctor was like, I think we should. Our doctor was like, I think you should wait.
It's like, you look too natural for me.
So it was literally like a back and forth for the most of our visits coming down to the end. Because Sherice is like, no, this needs to happen today. And the doctor was like, okay, let's give it a couple of days.
And I'm like, no,
let's wait for a few days. So we went through that for some time. And then Sherice got to the point where I was like, all right, look, I'm having this baby. If we need to do a C-section.
No, you missing an integral section when we went to the scan.
No, as I'm saying though, but we had already gotten to the point where you was like, yo, we ready to do it. We did that scan because we wanted to make sure everything was fine, because we were going to plan to do. We were planning for whatever needed to happen was going to happen that weekend, right? So this was we hit this week where Sherice was like, by next week this time we have a kid, right? Whatever needs to happen. So we went in for a regular routine scan. Didn't think anything of it, just expected it to go as normal.
This time we're doing visits like every two to 3 days.
Yeah. So go in for the scan, and the doctor said,
no, she was like, everything's fine. Well, not the doctor, the person who's doing the scan.
Right. So she was going through it like everything is okay, everything is good, right? Then Sherice asked her, where's the head? Now, I don't think Sherice has ever asked that question when they doing the scan, but I don't think it was anything like out of the ordinary. And I don't think the doctor, or at least the lady who was doing the scan, thought anything out of the ordinary. But when she asked, she was like, oh, okay, let me check. She looking around. She doesn't see the head where the head is supposed to be. And at that point, let me just paint the picture. Sherice is super emotional at this point because she's ready to have this kid. We both ready to have this kid because I'm ready for her to start to become herself again and be comfortable and stuff. And then you just hear like a pause with this doctor, and it's like, hold on now, like what's going on? And then she was like, oh, this baby is breached. Yo, when she said the word breached, I looked at Sherice's face and everything just was like, what? Do you feel like there's more to life than what you're experiencing? That deep down, you're meant for something greater? It's time to stop wondering and start discovering. At the Munroe Institute of Leadership, we believe every person carries a unique purpose, a calling designed specifically for you. Our transformative courses, Discover Purpose and Unlock Your Potential, are crafted to help you uncover that purpose and equip you with the tools to step confidently into your destiny. These powerful courses are for leaders, entrepreneurs, students, and visionaries like you. Through proven principles and actionable insights, you will clarify your vision and set bold goals. You will identify your strengths and passions. You will overcome the barriers holding you back, and you will step boldly into your God-given potential. Our expert facilitators draw from timeless and tested principles, blending practical strategies with kingdom truths to empower you to lead a life of purpose, impact, and transformation. The world needs what you have to offer. Don't let another day pass without unlocking the greatness within you. Visit our website, themill.org, and register today. The Munroe Institute of Leadership. Renew your mind and transform a generation. So the baby was transverse.
Yes, sideways.
So her head was going, I think it was on the right side.
Yeah.
Right side of her stomach, not down, right? This entire time, every previous scan, at least to our knowledge, the baby head was down. A week before at least the week that we're saying, okay, whatever is happening, we're going to do this. Like Sherice is going to induce, we're just going to do all of these things to get this baby here. The baby is now breached, transverse.
At 41 weeks.
So, well, it could have been 42, depending on which date we use, right? So at that point, we went directly to our doctor because it just happens that the place we do the scan and the doctor that we went to was just doors apart. So we went into the doctor. Now this was a very different experience for me, right? So this is 41 to 42 weeks of just emotions and sickness and, just encouragement, trying to be empathetic and understanding. And we get into the doctor's office. So the lady doing the scan tells Sherice that the baby is breech transverse. So at this point, Sherice is super emotional. Hearing the news just knocks the wind out of you, right? Because we have this expectation of everything being fine, and then you're told that, man, this baby turned. So we go from the scan room to our doctor's office, and we walk into the doctor's office. They put us in the room, and this entire time I can see Sherice holding back tears. This is funny now, right? Because so the nurses recognized.
You can make me cry because I can laugh and cry.
The nurses recognized that Sherice is emotional at this point. One of the nurses seemed to be like a young nurse.
Yeah,
and I can't remember.
We've never seen her before.
Yeah, this was a new nurse. Did you tell her that the baby was breached, or did she just know?
I think she knew.
So anyway, so she I guess heard the news or got the news that the baby was breached, saw that Sherice was emotional. She was like, know what? Let me bring someone older in.
I think it was two of them, like at first, and she was like, this girl is insane.
Yeah, she was like, man, this is too much for me. Let me get someone older to come in. So this older lady came in, and
I think that was like the office manager or something.
Yeah, I don't know who she was, but man, so this was the first time during this entire pregnancy that I got emotional. So like when we got into the room and Sherice broke down, like I started to break down, and this was a weird feeling for me because, like I said, I hadn't got emotional up until this point, and just some emotions kicked in, and I just started to cry, and I talking like cry, like not able to hold it back. And this lady came in and she said the right thing that needed to be said at the time, and just comforting Sherice, calming the room down.
Keep going.
It was just a different experience.
Yeah, it was wild.
So once we got through that, and she literally just came in for that. Like, I don't think, have we seen her before?
No, she is more like patient coordinator
Okay,
type thing. Well,
so-
we've heard her on the phone before, but it's not.
Okay,
like,
well, I've never seen or seen her or spoken to her, but
Yeah.
like the time that we did see her and speak to her, like it was
Yeah.
much needed, and
that was wild.
she calmed the room down. Everyone, well, as best she could. Sherice was emotional or had a high level of emotions initially, and then after this lady spoke to us, everything was kind of calm. Then the doctor came in, and then the doctor added to the calmness and just kind of being encouraging and just saying, look, like, these things happen. We're going to manage it, right? So she gave us some instructions on what we could do to see if the baby turns. I think this was a Wednesday,
Yeah.
and Doc was like,
So she gave me like exercises to do to see if I could
Right.
turn the baby.
so Sherice had to like lay upside down on a ironing board. Like all of these stuff that she
Yeah,
did,
it was
which
wild.
was weird and wild, right? But it was necessary because we were really trying. We didn't want to do a C-section. Doc was really pushing it for us not to do, not to have a C-section as well.
Because it's like you come this far,
Yeah.
40, almost 42 weeks,
Yeah.
like you were straight.
Yeah.
And now we ain't about to do no C-section.
So we go home, do all the exercises. It was a Wednesday, so we went back Friday,
Saturday.
Saturday.
So Saturday we were supposed to do another scan
Mm-hmm.
to see if the baby had turned based on the exercises.
No, we went back Friday. Friday we did the scan, and she was still turned. Then Saturday she was like, "All right, we'll induce." No,
We didn't go back to the office anymore. We went straight. She said, "Listen, we're going to schedule you first thing in the morning, 7 a.m. You go into the hospital. If the baby is still turned, we're just
do
going to do
C-section.
C-section."
Yeah.
This is another wild part. Gets worse.
So we went in, and I'll let you take it from when you get rolled into the room. So we went in that Saturday morning, 6:00.
Well, no, not that part. We went into like triage area or whatever, do the scan, and she's still transverse, but I think she turned a little because
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
She did turn a little.
Sherice said she turned.
No, not that part. We're still in the front where everyone's laboring and they're hollering and screaming. And this time I'm in there cracking up, making jokes at people because I'm like, I'm having a C-section. I got to go through that. And it's like hollering. Like, I'm like, yeah, maybe the Lord
Bless you
knew
with the
I couldn't
C-section.
do that. So he was like, let me just give you the easy way out. And so our nurse, she was awesome. Every nurse, every doctor we work with, thankfully, has been amazing. So she's like, you know what? I'm going to give you your private room. Let's go. We go to the room. She's already prepping me for C-section.
So hold on. So we do the scans. The baby is still transverse.
Yeah.
So Doc was like, all right, we're going to do the C-section.
No, Doc says, we can wait.
Oh, yeah. Doc was like, we could wait.
Another week.
Doc was like, we could give it another week because it's still fine.
I
Baby's
said,
still
Mom?
healthy. No pressure on baby. You're still good. We could wait another week. She was just like, nope, this is happening today.
We having a baby today.
So
Ain't no more waiting.
So Doc was like, all right, so let's prep for C-section. So they, like she said, they roll us to the private room. We get into the private room, and then they start prepping for the C-section.
Yeah, they're prepping for the C-section. I'm mentally okay now that I have to have a C-section. I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Once we have a healthy baby, I'm good. Let's just do it. Get it over with. Saturday, we're good. So as we're in the room, talking with the nurse, she's putting my socks on. You know, all the preparations needed to be done.
I'm putting
like,
my scrubs on.
putting the scrubs
getting
on.
ready
We're
to
playing
go.
music.
Yeah.
You know, Maverick City on blast. I said, nurse, I think this baby, she head down. The nurse said, ha, ha, ha. Okay. You going in that C-section room right now. Charo's already putting on his scrubs, you know, because he has to get ready to go in the room as well. So anyway, they wheel me out. I'm like, oh, this feels like an episode of Grey's Anatomy. Little did I know this was an episode.
So we rolling through the hallway. Doc was like, all right, you wait here. We're going to do the spine tap, then prep her to get the C-section. I'm going to come back and get you. So I'm sitting down, just waiting. So I don't, anything what happens after this point, I'm not privy to. Go ahead.
So yeah, they rolled me in. There's an entire team, bright lights, surgery room. They hunch me over, give me my spinal tap, the bottom half of my body completely numb. We're ready to go. The doctor goes, put me back on the table and belly out. She is spraying some stuff on me, feeling me. The knife is in her hand. And then she's like, wait a minute. The baby turned. She back head down. I'm like, I told that nurse this baby turned. And then everyone in the room was like, okay, baby turned. What next? Doctor said, I'm done. We're wheeling you back out to labor and deliver and have that baby because I'm not cutting you. This time, bottom half of my body is already numb. I've already, in my mind, we done paid for this. So what? She said, anyway, I can tell your husband what the deal is. See you later.
So Doc walks out, right? I'm thinking she's coming to get me to bring me into the room. Doc walks out. No, actually, a male doctor walked out first, and he was like, he said he mumbled something, or like said something, but said it very softly, and it was something along the lines of like, "Congratulations, you don't have to go through that," or like said something. But so because I didn't know what he was talking about, I just thought he was talking about something else and wasn't really talking to me. Then the doctor came out. She came out. I'm thinking, you know, she coming to bring me in. She came out shaking her head, right? And I'm like, what does that mean? She's like, well, we're not having a C-section anymore. I say, what? Why? What happened? She said, oh, the baby turned. Baby's head down now. At that point, I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? But like, we literally, like, we thought that in the next 30 minutes, we were going to have a baby, right? And Doc is coming back saying, nah, that's not happening. And she was like, yeah, the baby turned, head down. I don't want to do the C-section anymore. I wanted to do things naturally. That's just a better way. So that's what we're going to do. So I was like, all right, cool. Appreciate that. So we all go back into the room, and now it's just a waiting game for the contractions to become more consistent.
Well, first of all, the spinal tap now has to wear off.
Yep.
And then they have to start inducing labor because even though I was already at a certain point, they needed to get the contractions going to make it move faster. And so it was a few hours before the spinal tap wore off. And then they started to give me Pitocin, which is the synthetic hormone to get synthetic oxytocin to get the contractions going. And then it was just a waiting game, hours of just pain, because I wanted to hold off. I didn't want to get the epidural.
So this is where I was like, man, women are strong, right? Sherice, she and I had a conversation prior to even knowing we were going to do the C-section, and we were like, yo, and this was like when we realized, man, the female body is going to do what the female body needs to do, right? Whatever it needs, it produces, and you could have a natural birth. So we made an agreement. We was like, look, we're going to do a natural birth. No drugs, no nothing, right? Let's just have it naturally. And she was like, yo, I'm going to do this. And if I say I don't want to do this, don't let me get and take any drugs or whatever. I was like, all right, cool. We're going to do a natural birth. So
he didn't think I could do it.
I was like, no, you're not going to make it, right? And you're not going to do it because I just know you, right? But Sherice made it 9 hours. Sherice labored for 9 hours. And when I tell you, like, that was intense because, first of all, they don't tell. Let me tell y'all, man, something. The amount of hands that were inside my wife, it's something different to see. I'm not just talking about like they just have the hand up there, just kind of looking and feeling, making. No, they like shoving hand, moving their hands around, and I'm like, can you see me here? I'm right here, guys. And it was just like, wow, like women have to go through so much. Because even like in our visits, right, the visits even long before we got into labor, I used to tell Sherice, like, yo, this is what women go through all the time. Like, y'all is just sit on a bench and tear your leg open and these doctors would just be examining. And she's like, yeah, I've been doing this my whole life. I'm like, bro, man couldn't do this. Ain't no man could sit down and cock his leg open. I thought, but how I doing down there, doc, on a consistent basis, bro? That is in and of itself, like, that is special.
And then asks you, you want a mirror? No,
bro.
I don't want a mirror. I don't want to see that.
So Sherice labored for 9 months. Doctors, nurses coming in, checking her, seeing how much her cervix is dilated. Still not getting to the point. Then she decides to then they induce and they give her the
epidural.
The
Pitocin.
The Pitocin. And when I tell you all this, Pitocin made everything worse.
Yeah.
Like that's when the pain started to kick
that
in.
is exactly why I didn't want to have Pitocin, because Pitocin magnifies everything and makes it worse. And then on top of that, the Pitocin was making my contractions couple, which is I had no break. It was contraction. It was not like contraction, downtime. Contraction, down. I had no downtime.
It was like every 60 seconds or every 120 seconds.
Well, no. There was a point where I was like on the top of each other, and then she had to adjust it because it was like,
turn it down.
Are you insane? Like they had it at the highest it could go until my midwife was like, turn it off.
Yeah. And once she turned it off, like it immediately got better. Like the pain was there. She still was contracting, but it wasn't as intense. She had like enough breaks, but it was still a lot of pain. So after 9 hours, Sherice is like, you know what?
Yeah.
I need this drugs. I need this epidural. So at first I was like, well, and we agreed that we was gonna have an actual birth, right? Then I thought about it. I said, big child, Sherice here,
I did well.
Doing all this labor, and going through all this pain. If she wants to do the drugs, bro, let's just get the drugs.
Because it was like the girl was stubborn. She was not moving. And it was just like...
She was taking her time. She was comfortable in there. She wasn't ready to come out. She was like, yo, it ain't my due date yet. I don't know what y'all bothering me for. So, you got the epidural.
Well, no. When I wanted the epidural, I was like, my midwife was like, no, you can do it.
No, before that. So we had one little scare we had where our baby's heart rate dropped.
No. That was after the epidural. When I got it and then they had to adjust me. Because,
yeah.
So my midwife jinxed me. She's like, no, you've come this far. You're doing well. Let's forego the epidural for more like, we're going to manipulate you and we're going to massage your back. And it really did help for a long time. And then it was everyone just was like, this baby ain't coming. Like, take the epidural so you can rest. And I took the epidural and it failed. It did not work.
Sherice rested. She had rest
5
time,
minutes.
maybe about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, she was like, I still feeling this pressure.
And then my friend was like, press the button. I'm like, what button? And there was supposed to be a button where you can get more drugs, but nothing was working. It just failed. And I had to pay for it still.
Yeah. So 9 hours of labor, got the epidural, and then we had another 4 hours where, she started to dilate, and then like doctors came in, nurses came in. It was like, okay, let's start to push. So we did a little bit of pushing. Nothing happened as yet. Nothing happened as yet. And then eventually, after those 4 hours, then the party started, right?
Yeah.
Then the real delivery started to happen, and that process wasn't too bad. That process was I say it wasn't too bad because
exactly.
I wasn't the one pushing, but I can't say it wasn't a bad experience, right? But I'm just saying, like, that at that moment, like, man, it started to get kind of surreal because like I'm realizing that we're about to bring life into this world.
And you could have seen her.
Well, not at first, but you I was having a lot of conversations with
Stick a pin in it. So during pregnancy, I would send him all of these videos with women having the babies, and he would be like, "Don't send me that! Don't send me that! Like, this is disgusting." But then he right there in the midst of everything.
So I was having a conversation with my boys, and they was like, I was asking them, did any of y'all look? Like, did any of y'all go on the other side of the curtain? Well, not curtain, but whatever the separation is, the separator they have. And but all of them was like, nah, bro, we didn't look at that. I wasn't into that or whatever. So I knew wouldn't have a problem doing it, but my intention wasn't to play the role that I actually played.
He was like a doula,
like,
y'all.
I was holding Sherice's leg, like, pressing it back, telling her, pushing, telling her to push, encouraging her to push.
He was a part of the medical team.
So that was an experience. And baby still stubborn, still not ready to come, still not coming. So, and I think my daughter could have heard and understand like what was happening on what was being said on the other side, because when she, like, let's go back to the C-section when you were getting prep, right? She was getting prep for the C-section. My daughter was like, nope, no C-section. Yeah. I'll turn now. Yeah. Right. So cool. I'm turning. Let's go have a natural birth. And then during this natural birth, so this is almost 12 hours of labor, nothing happening. Then the doctor was like, okay, we're gonna try a vacuum. And she showed us the vacuum device, and she was like,
told us all the
this is what happens.
Could go wrong.
It is going to
cause a hematoma.
Yeah, on her head or whatever. So it was like, all these. It was like it's normal, but these are the complications that could happen. But we could figure it out once we get to it. So we were like, I think hesitantly we were like, okay, because again, Sherice,
I was like, let's try again.
Sherice was laboring for 12 hours or whatever. So, but right when the doctor was like, let's use this vacuum, my little girl was like, okay, I'm ready now. Yeah. So we pushed, and then she started to crown. And man, so the first thing I saw was her hair, right? And her hair, obviously full of blood. No, actually, let's talk about
meconium.
Yes. So
her water.
Dialing it back a bit, one of the nurses
burst the water.
A
long time ago into the labor, and she had pooped or whatever. So that poop was all over her.
Yeah. So she what was the what is it, melatonin?
Meconium.
Mm-hmm. So the meconium spilled out once the water was burst, and so it was brown, like a dark brownish color. So the minute that happened, I was like, what's this? This doesn't look normal. And the doc was like, oh, the baby pooped inside. And I was like, is that a problem? Is that an issue? She was like, no, it's kind of normal. We just have to add another step onto the process. Once the baby is delivered, a team is going to come in to make sure our baby is breathing properly, your respiratory system is working fine. So, all right, cool. So again, she starts to crown. I see her hair first. And then the head starts to like continue to come. And so this was a crazy experience for me. So, like I hear all of these stories about the umbilical cord being wrapped around the baby's neck, right? So I've never had that experience. I don't even know what that experience looks like, at least in real time. And so when my daughter first came out, she looked blue, and I couldn't see the umbilical cord, right? So for whatever reason, it was behind her head, but to me, it looked like it was wrapped around her neck tight, and also because like her face to me looked a little blue or whatever, and she made no sound. She wasn't making any sound. She wasn't crying. She wasn't like, her face was just like blank. So I was looking at her, I was getting nervous, and I looked at the doctor to see if the doctor was like had any sign of panic. There was no sign of panic. So I was like, that seems strange because, I would expect at least the baby mouth to be open, making some type of noise, crying, whatever. And that happened for like 3 to 4 seconds. And that entire time I thought my baby couldn't breathe. So like that was 4 seconds of like panic inside. I didn't show it, didn't say anything, but I was like freaking out. And then she finally opened her mouth and cried, and I realized umbilical cord wasn't around her neck. For whatever reason, she just hadn't cried to that point. but they took the baby from outside of Sherice and placed it on Sherice's chest immediately.
Yeah.
She was crying. She was a beautiful baby, long baby.
Very long.
I
With a very long umbilical cord, which is why she was doing the most inside.
I had the opportunity to clip the umbilical cord. You know, all of that was great. And we welcomed a healthy baby girl into the world.
Kaya Rain.
So that was an experience.
Yes.
I think this experience taught me what women go through, right? And the strength that women have. Going through pregnancy, going through labor, and then delivering a child. Man, I can only imagine what, you know, women who do it by themselves go through.
I can't imagine.
I know what you and I had to go through, right?
I can't imagine a woman doing it by herself.
And
I
then,
can't.
And then you have women who don't even have like extended family or other family members to be with them. So like they're literally by themselves. Yeah. And man, you know, going through this process, like I feel for them. But you know, this was an experience. This was definitely an experience. I think Sherice's story isn't unique, right? It's unique to her, but it isn't like unique to the world, right? A lot of women go through this, and I think it's important for women to help women, right? And I think what helped you was the research that you did and the what you learned of the things that other women go through, right? What could possibly happen, what to prepare for.
Yeah, and then also having a support system of women who've already been through that and can give you their experience. And you just honestly having a good support team to keep you going. And for me, that was most important, as well as a therapist. And honestly, just doing your research, but also having a great medical team who is going to listen to you, who's going to advocate for you, and who is just going to be there for you step by step. I think that is most important. Definitely.
Well, we're excited. We've had been privileged to have our baby for 3 months so far. Yes. It's been just over 3 months, I should say. It's been I wouldn't say a good experience. It's also been challenging. The same stubborn baby that was inside my wife.
Stubborn.
She is entirely stubborn outside my wife as well. So she takes on both of our characteristics in certain ways.
You guys might could hear her.
Different ways. She doesn't like to be bothered at all, right? Even when she first came out, when my wife had her, she was fine. The minute the nurse took her to like clean her up and stuff, hysterically crying, right? And just seeing these little things, the changes that she's had even over these last 3 months or 3+ months, it's been great to watch, man. It's been a good experience.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you for blessing me with this bundle of joy.
A gift to come.
I want to say that
years to come.
I value your strength and what you did, what you committed to. I appreciate the fact that we were able to have this opportunity to, bring a healthy baby into this world, and I thank God each day for the baby remaining healthy and you remaining healthy throughout the process. But yeah, any last words you want to say as we wrap up?
I would like to say thank you for being there every step of the way. And, men have a story and a role to play in pregnancy as well. So it's not just women. It's like I tell them, it's not my story, it's our story. And again, I don't think I could have done it without you. So thank you, baby, for being my backbone.
Pleasure. And you sharing your story also, caused me to realize the amount of stories that are out there.
Yeah.
And like when I tell you the responses that Sherice got, the stories that the women told her that they went through. Yeah. I ran into one of the ladies at an event earlier this year. And, she was kind of just sharing with me what she shared with Sherice and talking a little bit about her story. And I was just like, man, women go through a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, it's just it's a blessing to, first of all, bring life into this world, but to be safe and healthy doing it. That's an added blessing. So I think the whole time, like I really didn't care like if it was a boy or girl that we were having. I was constantly saying, I just want a healthy baby, and I just want my wife to be safe and to be good after delivery. And I'm grateful to God that He provided us with that and blessed us with that.
Agreed. I also want to say to women who are watching that we have to share our stories because it can help women who are coming behind us not have such a lonely road. Not sharing that information, I think, is a disservice to women, which is why I shared my story, because I want women to feel comfortable, to have a village, to have a voice, and to just honestly be an example to other women, of course. I think when we don't share our stories, we don't realize that we're not alone. We're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many women battling the same things we're going through. And hearing women's stories, there were women who told me some things that were far worse than I could have ever imagined.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you women are strong. Like, you're saying I'm strong, but you are the epitome of strength. So I want you women, if you're watching this, you're not alone. Share your stories. Be someone who others can look up to be that support, because you're not alone. And I think the more we share, the more women can know, because before I got pregnant, I knew that it was not an easy road. But I think if I had known how hard it would have been, I would have prepared more. So I want women to know that, if you want someone to talk to, I'm here. I talk to women now almost every day about their experiences, and I find it heartwarming to be able to help them. So if I can do my part and share my story, and a lot of people are saying, you are so strong. I'm like, no, I'm not strong at all. I'm not. I'm just someone who values information, and I just want to be there to help anywhere I can. So if I could share my story little by little, that's what I'm going to do.
No, that's dope. That's dope. So we'll be back at it again this year. Right? We ready for round
Don't
2?
be one of them people. Don't be one of
2?
them people.
We love our.
You know what? I also want to say before we go, please stop asking women and men and families when they're going to have babies, because you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
You don't know their story. You don't know their circumstances. There are so many people who are in their waiting season because there are women with cysts, there are women with fibroids, there are women with problems. There are real problems that women are dealing with, and it comes off as insensitive. Stop womb watching. That's all I can say. Stop womb watching. Allow women and families to do what they need to do, how they need to do it. You asking when someone is having a baby, that ain't helping. I know there were times when people would ask me and you, when are you guys having a baby? When are you guys having a baby? Not knowing I'm going through a chemical pregnancy right now, and it takes so much out of us to remain decent and to, not say what we really want to say. So please be kind to women. Please be kind to men. You never know what people are going through.
Yeah. So don't ask us when we having our second child.
You don't ask,
Just know we having our second child.
At some point.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
And doing this all over again. Babe, thanks for being on this pod. Thanks for sharing your story. I hope this is helping or has helped someone that is listening to this or watching this. Because I'm sure there are a million other stories out there. And like Sherice said, we want to encourage you women to tell your stories, because you don't know who you'll be able to help. All right. So with that, this brings me to the milestone I want to leave with for today. And today's milestone is very simple, man. It's an ode to women, right? I'm encouraged by your strength. I want to empower you to continue, right? Us men don't know what women go through, right? Whether that's getting pregnant, going through labor, delivering a baby, and the complications that come with that. Like this entire process, the process of my wife and I bringing a life into this world has showed me the strength that women have, that men may not, that we may not realize or recognize. And I just want you women to know that I see you, I recognize you, I respect you. And I'm grateful for your strength and what you guys do for us as a family, for this world. The burdens that you guys bear, and don't complain about it. You're appreciated. All right. Just want to leave that with you guys. Well, that brings us to the end of this pod. Sherice, once again, thanks for joining me, baby.
Thank you for having me.
She's going to be back to being a regular now, if our daughter allows it. But, you're going to be hearing her voice a little more often, I guess, until she gets pregnant again and gets sick. But this has been great. As always, the vision and goal of this pod is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitation that you may think exists, but always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right, so until next time, you guys stay blessed.